Okay, so you just learned how to do your first backflip and now you're looking to level that up. I'm going to give you 5 steps, and if you follow these, you can be able to backflip a lot higher, and you'll take your backflip from looking novice to something that's a lot more flashy, more Spider-Man-like, I guess. So first things first, not part of the steps, but warming up, very important. Not only is it going to help you not get injured, but you're also going to be able to get way more out of your muscles. You'll be able to jump a lot higher, all of that stuff. So I'm not going to go into warming up, but make sure you do warm up properly before your backflip training. Straight into step number 1, or I guess you could also say mistake number 1. And it's the most common mistake people make, is during a backflip, you actually want to jump straight up and not backwards. Ideally, a standard back tuck, you want to jump straight up, rotate and land on the same spot as where you took off. There's 3 things I'm going to tell you now, which is going to help you sort of immediately start jumping straighter. The first is just making a conscious effort in your brain to think, during a backflip, I'm jumping upwards and I'm not jumping backwards. The second thing is adding in just a straight jump before you go for a backflip. That's sort of going to trick and like rewire your brain to a certain degree. Literally all you do is you jump straight up in the air, and without too much of a break, you go for a backflip immediately afterwards. The third tip, which is not the sexy tip, is just a lot of practice. So you take some sort of marker, maybe a shoe or sand or whatever, put it next to you on the floor, do a backflip, see how far back you've traveled, and then over time try to reduce that distance. This leads straight into step number 2, is how you initiate your tuck. Determines a lot how far back you're going to travel in a backflip. So the second step is you want to set up with your head and your chest. Your body follows where your head and your chest goes. So if from the start of a backflip you throw your head back immediately, you're going to kill all your height, and you're also just going to flip backwards. If you set with your chest and you try to find an indicator somewhere to look at, you're going to jump straight up, and the chance of you traveling backwards is going to be way less likely. I should also just quickly say that like all of these steps is a lot easier said than done. If you're a newbie just starting out, every micro change you make is terrifying. The idea of spotting something or looking forward and not throwing your head back is very terrifying. And I remember the first time I did that, I almost fell on my head, but I did follow the golden rule of not bailing. So I just freaked out a bit and then tucked, and I fell on my shins, but I was fine. So just keep that in mind. Do these things slowly. The slow and steady wins the race, the old saying. Okay, cool beans. So now we understand we want to jump straight up, and we want to set with our head and our chest to help give us maximal height before we initiate our tuck. Step number 3 is trying to get the most out of our jump. It's not a super common mistake, but you will see a lot of people before they go for a backflip, they pretty much do like a paw squat, right? They go all the way down to the floor. They sort of load themselves up like a spring before they go for a backflip. Obviously, the more power you can generate, the higher you're going to jump, right? And now your power is determined by the product of your strength and how fast you can actually apply that strength, or the rate of force development. So the quicker you can apply force into the ground, the higher you're going to go. I call it cracking the whip. Cracking the whip. I call it cracking the whip. There we go. When it comes to a backflip, you're going to come up onto your toes. You want to be on the balls of your feet, get everything nice and set, and then it's bend and release. So small bend in the knees and just explode and jump. You don't need to worry about doing a whole deep squat. You just want to explode and put force into the ground as quickly as possibly as you can. So that's cracking the whip, just the fast bend and release. So now we are jumping straight in the air, and we are jumping as high as we can. Step number 4 and 5 has got to do with tucking. Step number 4, this is sort of a technical one, but when people tuck, they like to bring their hands towards their knees. This is somewhat counterproductive because you're trying to rotate backwards, but now your hands are coming forwards. A way better option is circling your arms around to come up and meet your knees. Once you get the motion right, you're going to feel the acceleration. It is somewhat of a game changer in terms of trying to make your tuck as efficient as possible. You want to think circle around with your hands. As you set your chest, it actually goes hand in hand quite well together. But as you set up with your chest, your hands circle around and then come and join your knees. And that accelerates your backwards rotation momentum. Step number 5 is just tucking as tight as humanly possible. The smaller you can make yourself, the tighter of a ball you can make yourself, the faster you're going to rotate. This does come down to mobility and this and that. The first thing you can do is just not overthink it, but try bring your knees as close to your chest as possible. If you want to upgrade that, then you can try bring your knees out to the side. It's going to make you that much smaller, and you're going to rotate that much faster. Tighter the tuck, the faster you rotate, the bigger the illusion that you've just jumped higher, if that makes sense. Okay, let's quickly recap those 5 steps. So step number 1 is jump upwards, not backwards. Step number 2 is don't kill your height, set with your head and your chest. Step number 3 is get the most out of your jump by being as explosive as you can. Bend and release at the knees, crack the whip. Step number 4, you want to circle your arms around to help meet your knees, make your tuck that more efficient. And step number 5 is tuck as tight as humanly possible. If you do all of those 5 steps, your backflip's going to level up dramatically. The only other step, the bonus step, practice. The more you practice, the better you're going to get, the easier it's going to be, and the more comfortable you're going to feel. Have fun, be safe, and yeah, all the best.